Hi, good afternoon. How are you? I hope you're doing great. I wanted to pop in real quick and talk to you about something, and it is about being dismissive. As the title says, I hope it grabbed your attention. No, I'm not cursing in my video today. Not that I plan to, but I do want to talk about being dismissive. Our society is extremely dismissive. Everyone is busy putting aside the plight of others, putting aside problems, and you find often people say, well, at least you didn't blah, blah, blah. And we're not even paying attention to ourselves, how dismissive we are to each other. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because I had people comment on my newspaper article about the Jehovah's Witnesses and the children that have been sexually abused and molested and how it's been hidden. And this person reads my story, and his answer is, no one forced you to stay. That's the gist of his comment. And I find, well, I don't know this person. I'm not going to go into who he is and if he's not worth it. Hi, Jaime, or whatever. But in general, everything he said was extremely dismissive. Like, shut up already. Take responsibility, move on. And then I was talking to a friend. By the way, a shout out to my friend Joshua Rivera. He might see this video later or not, but he is doing activism for the Jehovah's Witnesses and Native American / and African minorities who are doubly oppressed. And I never thought about it that way. And to be honest, I was trying to explain to him that I don't know where I fit in the picture, and it was a huge revealing conversation because I realized my own dismissive attitudes towards certain things, like, you know, our land was taken, our identity stripped. My 4 great grandmas are native of the region, Venezuela, on Aruba. You got some from other islands that came here, and they're all great grandmas. 2 of them I knew, 2 of them I never met because they were already dead. They were much older and they died much younger because of having so many kids back to back. And as I was talking about it, it hit me that they were oppressed by becoming breeders. You know, they forced them to be wives and have a bunch of children at a very early age. They were child brides. And it hit me. It hit me like, whoa, I've never thought about that. I see myself in certain ways and I kind of want to move on from it. I want to, you know, dismiss it and go like, no, it didn't happen. Let it go. And then I was talking to a friend of mine who's also native and who's also indigenous in his background, and as we were talking, he tells me, yeah, at least I'm lucky people confuse me for Spanish European. And I heard that self discrimination, that self berating, that belittling of his own identity, that dismissiveness. Are you listening to your own? Because look, we're not dismissive to each other without first being dismissive to ourselves. If you at any point in time ignore your emotions, ignore to say no, you say no, but you talk yourself into doing things anyway because, you know, I still have time. You ignore how you feel. You ignore that you really don't want to. You forgive people and keep hanging out with them because you don't want to give space to your anger or your pain, and on and on and on. I could go on with examples. My point is, we are in a society that's dismissive because we are dismissive to ourselves. And I think that's at the root of why so many people communicate in such abusive, victim shaming, victim blaming, victim suppressing ways. And I am going to use terminology, it is jargon, but let's put it this way. Someone was sexually molested and they're told, don't tell anyone because you're going to get police trouble. You don't have proof. It's going to be too much trouble, and you really want to go through with it. Okay? That is victim silencing. That is a form of oppression, because you're telling the person standing up for yourself and fighting is going to cost you so much. Do you really want to do this? And that is an enforcing of the oppression. I don't know if you hear it. And sometimes we do it to ourselves. We're at work and we're working hard to get that promotion, and you don't get it. And you're pissed. You're pissed. You've done your best. You deserve it. You've earned it. And some twiddle-dum that is friends with, the boss and doing other kinds of things waltzes in and gets the promotion, and you are told to sit down. And you are forced into a corner where you can't say anything. And so we have these coping mechanisms in ourselves where we dismiss our feelings. We try to make peace and harmony by saying, well, how I feel isn't important. And then in turn, we do it to others. And I want to encourage you, shift into new patterns of behavior. Shift into new ways of seeing yourself. Pain is there to tell us how we need to adjust. Pain comes up. It's the body and the psyche and the soul and the mind's way of saying, psst, hey, I don't like this. Let's do something else. And if you refuse to listen to that, you cannot be compassionate to others. Let me say that again. If you refuse to be compassionate with yourself, you have no compassion to give around. It always starts with you. It always starts with you. That's why we have an epidemic of people who go out on vacation and destroy beaches. We have that problem here in Aruba. People come here and they do that. They drive where the turtles are supposed to be laying eggs. And they're dismissive. They're like, well, they have it for rent. They took us there. They showed us. Obviously, it's not important to them, so why should it be important to me? But those people are dismissive because they have been dismissive to themselves. And our societal pressure is to dismiss. If you are in any shape or form coming from a place of oppression, whether it be because of your race, whether it be because of your ethnicity, your country of origin, your in mother language, your religious beliefs, we're oppressed for so many dumb reasons. And we're also in the same breath told we have to take it in stride. Oh, be the bigger person. Take the high road. Those are all dismissive comments. They're dismissals of the feelings, the injustice, the abuse that certain statements carry with them. So, I like to use the Bible because the Bible is very clear and is universal to many people. It has a widespread reach. Everyone understands it. Jesus said, to do unto others what you would like to have done to you. I think that's the one. We call it the golden rule. And it is actually, Jesus says, love others as you love yourself. Now, that is basically, hi Taryn, that is basically the path that leads to more compassion in the world, to more connection, to more joy, to problem resolution. You see, avoiding problems isn't the way that the world is going to be fixed. Because if we push down what's really happening, if we push down, like in this case, I'm stepping into the XJW community activism, and I'm also going to be stepping up into the Native American or Native Caribbeans, and we'll be talking about the oppression of our Native identity. Because guys, we live in Aruba. We don't identify, most of us, as Native, as Indians, as Islanders. We think we're an amalgam of all these other established European mostly nations, and some of us Latin American, and we don't even identify that we are native and that our lands were taken. This island used to belong to the Arawaks. My great-grandmas, they used to be part of tribes at some point in their lives. Their great, whatever parents. And we don't know anything about that. In fact, we're told, no, there aren't a lot of Indians left on Aruba. I was told that in school. I don't know if you were told that, but I was. And so I always had this weird disconnect that all around me there's people from all the other islands where there were natives of that same group, but I'm not like them. I'm totally different. I don't know what I am, but I'm totally different. And it took a friend who is an activist to point it out that no, you are part of the native groups of people whose lands were taken, who were basically integrated because we were made mestizos and mulattos. And I mean, seriously, my great-grandparents are Spanish, and I grew up hearing, oh, how great that you have European grandparents. That's not necessarily a thing to celebrate in light of, wow, I'm so much better. Do you realize that that's white supremacy? I mean, I'm telling you, we have a deep-rooted self-hate and self-dismissal because of all these things that we haven't unpacked and dealt with. So I want to encourage you, if anything that you should take away from this, is don't dismiss what is going on inside of you. It might hurt. Dismissing means ignoring it, talking it down, saying, it's not important, it's not that bad. No, look at it. Let whatever came out of you, hold that person who's grieving, who's you. Hold them. Hold her. Tell her, I hear you. Just sit with that for a bit. Give that space. Because when you start to give that space and you start to decide how you're going to heal, listen, healing is not as complicated, but it is not as easy either. It's not complicated because you could heal from planting. Plant a seed in the ground, watch it grow. You could heal as you make better health choices for your food. You could be healing by simply making a painting about how you feel and putting all that energy in it. And to get there, the first choice is to open the Pandora box. What am I feeling inside? Where are the things that are broken that, hey, you know what? I need to embrace. I choose to embrace them. I choose to give them space. I choose to listen to them. And then, it's only then that you and I can be compassionate with others. Because in the measure that you love yourself, you love others. So the measure you are compassionate with yourself, you're compassionate with others. So I want to encourage you, take more time. If it helps you, get a journal. Talk to somebody. Write a song about it. It doesn't have to be, Emmy Award winning with the best beat and the best track. It has to be the song of your heart, expressing and releasing this pain. And it could be a dance. It could be a painting. It could be, hey, some people process their pain by breaking shit. You could be breaking shit. Your own shit, like plates and stuff, and just kind of let it out. One of my friends was telling me, I want to move on from it, learn from it, and become stronger. And I'm thinking, I don't think you've ever even dealt with the pain. Are you dealing with the pain first? Because you can't move on from the things you ignore. You just keep circling them. Because your body keeps going, yo, your liver's full of rage. I'm going to give you headaches. I'm going to give you fatigue. Yo, hello. And then you develop from liver problems and adrenal fatigue, you develop all the way to cancer. Because our bodies, in their weakness, show us where in our soul and where in our experiential life we need to look and release. And that's why speaking up is so important. It might be uncomfortable to a lot of people. You might not like me for pointing out people who hide sexual abuse and telling you about some things that people go through that are disgusting. You might not like it, but we need to talk about it as a society, because together we're hurting from it as a world family. Because what happens to the least of us is happening to all of us. So that was me. That was me for today. I hope that it inspires you and it sparks you, empowers you in some way to deal with whatever's going on with you with more compassion, so that eventually you can have more compassion for others, for animals, for the world, for plants, for nature, even for the bad guys. I mean, there's bad guys. There are. Those are people who need a lot of compassion and they need healing. Everyone's on that journey. So I hope to inspire you and spark that in you. And I want to share with you, I'm currently, because of these videos, I got connected with some Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness activists. And I thought it was really interesting because there are many people who have been wanting to leave the organization but can't because they're financially dependent on someone that is in the cult, and who are pressuring them and basically oppressing them to stay. If not, they will be on the streets with no food, with no housing. These are people who, I mean, most Jehovah's Witnesses don't have an education, so they don't have jobs, they don't have a stable financial situation, and they don't have a social circle. So this is fact. I mean, when I left my ex-husband, I had been pressured for about a year to stay with him because according to them I can't divorce. And everyone, my mother, my grandma, my aunt, my father, my brother, my sister, everyone let me know very clearly, you do this, just know you're on your own. We don't have any help for you. I slept in my own car at some point. Well, I had all my stuff in a car. I didn't have a place to stay because no one in my family would open their house to me at all, not even for one night. No one. They all have space, but they said, no, we don't, you're leaving the organization and you're leaving your husband. We don't help you. Well, I had resources because I'd been on my own, working on my own. I had friendships with people who were not Jehovah's Witnesses, so they opened their living room to me. When a police officer, we had to call the police because of the new landlord was violent and abusive. I had friends come and pick me up. But there are people all around the world leaving this cult or wanting to leave it, who are heavily suicidal, who are emotionally distressed, who are being pressured by people who they think are their family, who are oppressing them and telling them, you know, if you leave, we're going to, you know, fuck you over because you won't have a place to stay. You're on the streets on your own. And these people are staying in abusive situations because of it. So there's a movement, there is a collective gathered, and they're raising funds, and I will be talking to you guys about that. I will be inviting you to help raise funds, either for local as well as for international, to help these people get them started. There's this one amazing lady, her name is Monique. She has a movement called Don't Count Me Out, and she's been helping people, bailing out African American men on Father's Day, things like that. And she has a vision, a really interesting vision, for housing, for fundraising, and for helping people. And the idea is for us to have a contact or a network for anybody in Aruba, any youngster, any child, any woman, any man, whether they are homosexual, they have decided to end a marriage, they've decided to speak up about their abuse, but no one will support them. They're being oppressed to shut up and to submit to the Jehovah's Witness cult system. These are the people that we are looking to help. And so just keep paying attention to my videos and my posts because I'm going to be talking more about it. I think that for me, God has been leading me slowly into helping other people. I was able to get out on my own, but that's because of my situation. Eventually, God aligned all the people. He did. And it was because of the kindness of the people who were willing that I was able to take that step and then really start to see it for what it was and stop dismissing other people's experiences. And so I want to invite you to make choices in your life that will help you have compassion for yourself and others and help people get out of oppression. And if you need healing too, reach out to me. We know of different ways and patterns and pathways and trainings and information and groups to support that healing part. Okay, we have talk groups, group coaching. There are also there's also advice and books you can read, and groups for women and groups for those who are indigenous, natives, who, for one reason or the other are starting to come to terms with the reality that we've been oppressed. We are still under colonialism. I want you to hear that. You and I, if you live in Aruba with me, we are still under colonialism. We speak a language that is not the official language of the legal system. We speak Papiamento, but everything else around us is in Dutch. That was the colonialism. We live in a country where we're giving up our cultural things, language, our habits, our foods, and making room for Burger King, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Starbucks, and all the other brand names so that people can come here and bring money. That's slavery, my friend. It's very insidiously sneaking in and slipped into our society, and we think, oh, it's just capitalism. We're just making money. And I'm like, yeah, are you who you really are? I mean, I know dozens and dozens of people who don't have a piercing, who don't do their hair the way they want to, don't take the tattoos they do, because they have to exchange their identity for job security. Because they're enslaved to the system. I choose to express this boldly and openly. And I choose for it to reach the hearts of the people who are able to understand just exactly what we're living under. We are still enslaved, except now we believe that we are participating. And like my friend who messaged me and he said, we just have to get stronger and beat them at their own game. That is a deception. It's a deception. If you have been in business and in a job market for a number of years, enough to realize that there is a group that is on top and a group that hopes to get there but never does. There just is. That's what is created. No one's going to deny it. No one's going to get rid of it until you all, who are the ones who are hoping to make it, who never do, start waking up. Okay? Well, that was me for today. I am definitely going to go because it's too hot in this car now. Bye.